Alright, one down, one to go. This time we'll get the gaskets out. Somewhere here's gaskets we need. Appears to be a hole right here. Does that mean that's what they want us to open it up from?
Starting point.
Behind you. Okay, that's not a base gasket. That is. So someone didn't put that on the other cylinder. I don't know who that was. Alright, this is the rear cylinder because it must not be the front. I see no F on this one. Is that big scratch supposed to be the R?
Sure.
So we marked the front one front, so this must be the one that's left. So we're putting a little assembly lube on here. Well, people are asking about my white bottle. The reason it's white is because the thing's older than hell, that's why it's white. When I bought the darn thing 20 years ago, white was the color, but now they're black.
Is that frugal you are?
Huh?
Is that frugal you are with the usage?
Well, you got a perfectly good container. Plus the bottles I bought after these were the big tall ones, which I hate, so I just refill these all the time. I got a bunch of these. I've given away a lot of them. When you buy 12 or 24 bottles at a time, we have the case lots where I forget. I think they're 12. It lasts a while. Especially when you got those big bottles. It's like over a gallon of oil. It's a lot of use. One figure tab at a time.
Right.
Takes a while. Okay, so you only want to lubricate this down about 1.5 inches down. Not a real thick coat. When you stuff the rings down there, the oil is going to lubricate the whole cylinder. It's going to come up the top to about here, and you just wipe off the excess when you're done. If you put a lot of oil in there, it just makes a bigger mess out the other end. Do the wrist pin grooves here. I don't lubricate the wrist pin because the same thing. When you put it through, it lubricates it. Some fingers are fatter than others. This hole has a snap ring in there which likes to bite into your finger. So the sharp edges dig in and try to make it a different color red. Clean the finger off again. Alright, so one piston. Got some rings left over here. So there's your take apart part. It does not fit in the top ring. Must not go there. Let's go down to the big fat one. Okay, the gap's right here, see? I like the gap to be over here. You take this one here, the gap's over here. You go from here to here. That way when you compress this, you can get these two rings to line up. Where are the gaps at? Right over here. So these are like a big spring. So if you put this right across here right now, it'll hold it together and won't overlap. Because you get all this here, it's going to have to compress into the piston. See how it sticks way up? Compresses as you go around. So these you can wrap and none of the other rings. But don't twist on them real hard. And this here you just pull up a little bit and drop it back down. So our ring gap's right there. There's one over here. The next ring gap's going to be 180 away, so instead of being here, we go way over here. Drop it in the hole. Use your finger to hold it. Bring it around. And once again, pull up on it. It should be nice and free. If it's not free, there's something wrong. And free is not for cost, it's for lack of binding. Okay, we have top ring is which one? The black one or the silver one?
At the very top?
Yeah.
Silver?
The molly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we gotta find our dot. I know it's there because I can feel the ring, how it's made. Dull and sharp. See a little dot right there.
Mm-hmm.
Spit highlights it. So these, you do not twist these. If you do, it becomes a big spring and it won't seal. Rings have to sit flat to seal. If it's a spring, it won't seal. So what you do is you put these two here into the ring groove you want to be. You use your thumbs to spread them apart, and your forefingers kind of push down a little bit. Do not bend the ring. So we want to go down to the second ring groove. So you spread it on down there. So see how they're in there?
Mm-hmm.
So right now the ring is hitting right here. So you got to push on the ring right there in those two spots as you open your thumbs up. And you're kind of walking around as you go. See how you walk it around?
Mm-hmm.
Goes right around. Now we caught right here. There it goes. It's in. It's nice and free. If the ends are not straight with each other, if one's higher than the other, then the ring's bent a little bit. You can lightly straighten it, but don't bend them. Like I said, if you wrap the rings, it'll use oil. Top ring doesn't matter how it goes, because it's a square cut ring. Same deal, put in top ring groove, bring it around. And these are sharp on your thumbs, so it's really sharp. So you can put tape on them if you want. So when you get this point, see it's in there, it's got a lot of tension on it, so I'm just going to work this around a little bit. Push over there, push over here, push over here, push in the center, it pops in. It's like putting a shoe on or a tire or anything that has tightness to it. You see how right now we got a problem here?
Mm-hmm.
You did not see that before. See that tight spot?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that ring, we had some ring damage. Remember we looked for ring damage and we didn't find any? Appears to be good on everything else, but right there is a problem. So right now the ring cannot rotate. If the ring cannot rotate, it will wear out real quick and not keep clean. So we have a problem. So now we take the ring back off. I use expander to do that. Same deal, you bring out the back side and slide forward, it pops off. To expand enough to go over the whole ring, you might break it. You could go way out.
Right.
Okay, so we have a problem right there. It's a pretty heavy impact. So you don't really want to be filing on ring grooves, especially the bottom part, because that's where it has to seal. The top part is for clearance, it's not where it rubs on. The sealing of a ring is on the bottom because it pushes, the compression pushes the ring down against the bottom of the ring lamb. The problem is most of your wear is on the bottom, which is bad. So we're going to have to file that off slightly. So we're going to have to get a file. You got a file?
I think we have a couple around.
We have a couple around. So do we use a big ass file like this?
We say no.
Use a really fat one like that on both sides. See, this one has a knife edge, it'll fit in the groove, see?
Mm-hmm.
If you're really, really careful, you can knock that high spot off real quick. But you want to try to keep it flat. The top one you don't have to be as gentle with because it's top. The top is just clearance, it's not sealing. And now we see how good we did. Still a little. See, it's got a ring walk in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably enough to make it work. But I have a little bit better file to use. That was a coarse file. You'll find one. right now it's good enough to use, but I've got my fingernail file I use. So this is really a fine one. And I can feel it better because it's not such a big file. Yeah, that high spot went away that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I'm moving it, you don't hear it, see? So I knocked off that high spot that was still there. Because there's supposed to be piston ring clearance.
Right.
See that? I feel the flat spot. You go back and forth. You knock it off. I took off the rest of the high spot. Realistically, it's probably still 1 thou to a half a thou of compression, smaller than what the ring groove is there, but that's not enough to make the ring not work. See, now we're nice and smooth again, no problem. Now, the ring is still square and straight, see how it's flat?
Yes.
So you go on the bench, it doesn't go up and down, you go like this. If you go like this on the ring and it starts moving around, it's bent. It will not seal. Okay, so, try this again. I think it's sharp. It's trying to get blood in there. So. Just a little bit of time. Once it goes over the outside of that lip, it'll drop in. See, that's our bad spot. So it goes right through now.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and free. No issues, see? Perfect. Okay, we got our gaps here. We want to put them 90 degrees from the oil ring. Where's my gap at? There it is, right there. Right there. I like having all my gaps on 45 degrees. So this is thrust areas, this is side areas. You want the ring gaps on the sides. So the 2 oil rings are 90 degrees apart, or 180 apart. And then you turn 90 degrees and the 2 top rings are 90 degrees, or 120 apart. Or 80 apart, excuse me. So, but they're 90 degrees separated from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the oil ring expander's on one of those 4 corners. It overlaps, but it's on the top ring overlap, not the other. And that's how you put them together. Alright, now we have, go ahead and put this in a cylinder. So the arrow is going forward. And I also purposely put the clip on the right side of the cylinder. This is the right side of the cylinder. So right now the arrow right now should be on this corner, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it must be right. Okay, now, just like when you put the piston rings over the piston, they go in the cylinder the same way. So if you put the end gap in there first, and you collapse the ring, it will go into the hole. You have to put pressure right here so it doesn't pop out though. So if you just push in there like that, it'll go in. So now the second ring has to be put in. The second ring the gap's on this side, so you have to push the piston a bit further down over here. Make sure it's all the way in on that side. Rotate it up just slightly and squeeze it in while you're pushing. It'll go in. You got to drop in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep going like that. You can also take your fingernail and use like a little pry. Drop it like that and see it pops it in. That does tear up your fingernails, but it doesn't hurt the rings at all because these are soft. If you try to put a screwdriver in there, it leaves a big nick in the ring.
Right.
The oil ring, same thing. So our gap's here right now, same as the other one's over here, which is already in the hole. So on these, I just tap them around, but you can also do the same thing in your rings and stuff. Right, if you just go like this. In. Now you get this one here, push it in, drop it down in the hole there. See how it's in the hole now?
Mm-hmm.
See, we'll go over here, so just put a little pressure right here, that is, so it won't go down. And you go back and forth like that, and see it just pop in automatically. Now this time I'm going to put this gasket in here. So make sure you put it over the correct holes. Here's the hole there. See how there's no hole?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's holes.
As it should be.
And then you get the wrist pins ready to go in. That's ready to go on the bike. All you do is shove the pin in there, put the clip on it, and shove it down. It's a lot easier putting the piston in the cylinder on the bench it is on the bike. There's our clips. There you go. Alright, we'll be back.